Happy Lord's Day, Northshore Bible Church family. I'm sure, like for me and my family, you've had quite a week. So I wanted to put together a little video to encourage us this morning. You know, Jesus' last words before he ascended was, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, and the outer ends of the earth." It makes me think, what is a witness? Oftentimes with witnessing, we think of maybe sharing the gospel with a coworker or knocking on a door or something like that that's maybe more offensive. Well, in the early church, you may or may not know this, but much of witness in the early church was, I guess you could call it, defensive. It's in the ways in which the early church acted from day-to-day life and how they responded to pain and suffering. Roughly 100 years after Jesus said this, the church entered a stage of great pain and suffering and persecution, and a lot of the pain and suffering came in massive health epidemics that spread across the Roman world. How are they a witness 100 years after Jesus gave that command? Well, Rodney Stark, who's a Christian sociologist, studied this. And here are some of his amazing conclusions he came to. Number one, Christianity gave a better explanation to why pain and suffering happens than any philosophy could in the Greek world. Wow. Secondly, Christian love and care for one another enabled them to cope better than most anybody in the pagan culture. This, Stark says, led to substantially higher survival rates. Third, this made Christianity look very attractive to the outside world. And guess what? Stark says it caused an explosion of growth in converts throughout the entire Greek world. In conclusion, Stark says that all the early church fathers in the late 100s, in the 200s, in the 300s, when these epidemics were happening, all these church fathers, from Cyprian, Dionysius, Eusebius, and others, they all agreed that, quote, epidemics made a major contribution to the Christian cause. Well, I'm not trying to point fingers at us and tell us we need to be more like them. I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer and say it's going to get a whole lot worse. Get ready. I do want to encourage us with this. In the midst of it, they probably wondered why God allowed this to happen. Are we asking that right now? I'll bet you a lot of us are. Whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, whether you're someone in power who has something to do about this or not, we're asking the same question. But looking back, what's great about Rodney Stark and what his discoveries have been is that it tells us what God was doing through those epidemics. What God was doing through those epidemics. I just want us to know that the same God who worked to grow Christianity then may very well be doing the same thing today through this pandemic that is reaching not only the United States, but the whole world. I hope that this has been both comforting to you and, to be honest, maybe a little exciting as well. Because guess what? 2,000 years later, we also are called to be his witnesses in the way we respond with one another and to the outside world today. God bless you all. I love you, and we can't wait to see each other again. Bye.